Hi everyone, I'm Christy Lang from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. The following panel session is practical yet amazing, which we will be exploring the career opportunities in finance. Renowned as an international financial center, Hong Kong offers unlimited opportunities for young professionals to develop a career in finance. Therefore, joining the financial industry has been one of the top preferences for the business graduates. With a view to enhancing our understanding on the financial sector, we are grateful to have 4 professional executives today to share their experience and view with us in a form of panel discussion. Please give them a big round of applause and invite them on stage. First of all, we have Ms. Anita Fong, Independent Non-Executive Director of the Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited, China Construction Bank Corporation, and Hang Lung Properties Limited. Ms. Fong served as the former Group General Manager of the HSBC Holdings plc and the former Chief Executive Officer Hong Kong of the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation Limited. She was awarded the Bronze Bohemian Star in 2013 and appointed Justice of Peace in 2015. Next, we have Mr. Mervyn Chow, China Chief Executive Officer and Asia-Pacific Co-Head of Investment Banking and Capital Markets of Credit Suisse Hong Kong Limited. Based in Hong Kong, Mr. Chow has been working in the Asia-Pacific investment banking for over 2 decades. He is now responsible for the bank sector and country coverage group, merger and acquisition, and capital markets. As the China CEO, Mr. Chow oversees the overall client strategy across the combined private banking and investment banking platform for the bank in China. Also, we have Mr. Jackie Chan, Regional Chief Executive of AIA Group Limited. Mr. Chan has been working for AIA for the past 29 years and now is in charge for the AIA Group's business operation in Hong Kong and Macau, as well as the Southeast Asia region. He is also in charge for the group agency distribution. Last but not the least, we have our panel chair, Mr. Zhou Ngai, Senior Partner and Managing Partner of Greater China, McKinsey & Company Hong Kong. Mr. Ngai has chaired numerous large-scale transformation efforts for both locals and multinational financial institutions. His advisory service touches on strategy, organization and operations transformation, M&A, as well as on government issues. We are pleased to have him as the moderator of today's discussion. Once again, may I remind you all, if you have any questions for any of our panel speakers, please write down your questions on the slip provided and pass them to the student helpers around for the Q&A session. Remember, books will be awarded to the audience that asks the most intelligent question, so don't miss the chance. Without further ado, let's start with our panel 1 discussion on career in finance. May I now pass the floor to Mr. Zhou Ngai to chair the panel discussion for us. Mr. Ngai, please.
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, after Bernie's great speech, I thought that we'll do a little bit of an exercise, right? So if you're a student, please stand up, right? So we'll do exercise, right? There's a prize, okay? So everyone stand up, okay? It's very simple instructions, right? All the old people in front, you're okay, you don't understand, okay? So very simple instructions, okay? It's multiple choice, A, B, and C, okay? If it's A, you put your hands on your head. That's A, okay? B is like this, okay? You put your hands around your waist, right? And C, you hold 2 hands up front. That's C, okay? So let's do it. I have some questions for everyone, okay? Let's start with the first one, okay? So everyone got to do it, okay? When was the FSDC established, okay? A, 2013. B, 2014. C, 2015. Now pick. Don't look, okay? A, B, and C, okay? The answer is A. So if you are B and C, please sit down. Like 2 unlucky gentlemen over there, yes. Okay, so let's do the second one. Mr. Bernard Chan, which state in the United States did he go to college, okay? A little bit harder. A, New York. B, Massachusetts. C, California. A, B, C. Okay, the answer is C, California. So everyone else who has A and B, please sit down, okay? Wow, there's still a lot of people left, okay? This is going to be tough. Okay, let's try the third one. Okay, you guys, they're looking at you, so it's not very fair. But yes, okay, fine. Let's do another one. Okay, what percentage of GDP does the financial services contribute to? Okay, 嗱，局長你哋唔好出聲啦。Okay, so A 15.2%, A, B 17.6%, and C 19.3%. Make your pick. Hurry up. A, B, and C. The answer is B. Okay, so everyone else sit down except for the B's. How many do we have left? Okay, so there's still, wow, okay. Good job, guys. I thought there would be much less people. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, which regulatory body did Mrs. Laura Cha worked in China? Okay, A is CIRC. B is CSRC. And C is CBRC. Okay? A, B, and C. Okay, make a pick. The answer is CSRC. B. Okay, so if you are A and C, please sit down. How many do you have left? We have, okay, around 10 people. Now everyone's looking at you guys, okay? So don't cheat, okay? So let's keep going. The number of people in Hong Kong working in the industry today. Okay? A, 200,000 people. That's A. B, do not look at the book. 250,000 people. And C, 285,000 people. Okay? A, B, or C. A is 200,000, B is 250,000, and C is 285,000. Okay? The answer is closest to B. Okay, so A and C sit down. B, how many left? The four of you in a row. That's amazing. And then the three here. Okay, so these people, please come up on stage. Okay, stand there. You gotta face the audience. Yeah. Come on. The four of you, the three of you, okay, you gotta face the audience, so you can't look at them. Okay, you face the audience, okay? And we'll do the next one, okay? Yeah, no more books. Look. Face the audience. Yeah, this is a test. Okay. So our speaker here, Anita, which bank did she work at? A is HSBC, B is Bank of China, and C is Standard Chartered. A, B, and C. The answer is HSBC. So everyone got it right? Okay, that was an easy one. One wrong. Okay, so please take a seat. Thank you. That was very brave. Okay, so another one. The insurance industry is the most closely affiliated with which other sector in the financial service? Okay, A is asset management, B is investment banking, and C is securities trading. A, B, or C? The insurance industry. Okay, A, B, or C? The answer is asset management. Okay, so if you're B or C, you can take a seat now. So, wow, this is going to be really hard. Okay, so another one. We get into fintech topics, okay? Blockchain is closely linked with what? Okay, A is P2P lending, peer-to-peer lending, okay? B is Bitcoin. C is digital wallet. A, B, or C? P2P lending is A. Bitcoin is B, and C is digital wallet. The answer is B, Bitcoin. Okay, if you're A and C, you can take a seat now. Okay, wow, we have, excellent. Okay, so get in the middle, we're four. I'm running out of questions. Okay, this is going to be really embarrassing. Okay, so let's do one more. Okay, this is actually really hard. Okay, so you must have read the brochure to understand this one. So Mr. Mervyn Chow and Mr. Henry Ma. Okay, what do they have in common? Okay, A, they went to the same high school. B, they went to the same college. C, they worked at the same company. A, B, or C? They both went to Berkeley. Oh my God. Okay, fine. So we have 4 books, right? So do you have 4 books? Okay, fine. Why don't we do this? We got to move on to I thought that we'll have one left at this stage, but why don't all four of you will get a copy of my 2 books? Okay, so we'll do it later, but let's take a picture now, and then we'll move on to our panel, yeah? So, congratulations. Christy, Alvin, yes. Great, thank you. So, well, we'll do it later, guys. Go back, we'll come back later at the end, okay? Thank you. Okay, so why don't we start our panel here? So, that was a little warm-up, so we will start here now. So we have here 3 of our veterans in the industry, right? One thing in common, and you will never see this again, okay? These people 已經絕咗種㗎啦。點解呢？ Because all of them have worked in one company, basically for their entire career. Basically, okay? And this will never happen again in your lifetime. I can guarantee you that, okay? So Anita was in HSBC forever, okay? Mervyn has been in Credit Suisse for like, you know, as far as I remember. And Jackie, like, you know, how many years have been in the AA? Like 30 years? I mean, seriously. This is like, you know, these are like the veterans of the industry, one company, and that is really a hallmark of once upon a time in financial services in Hong Kong. These are our 精英 from the industry, right? Because they have been born and bred, same company, you know, and they grew up, they reached the top basically, right? And basically they ran these gigantic companies. So I thought we'll start off with each of them telling you a little bit how their career path, right? From graduation, getting into companies, right? And how did they get to where they got to, some of kind of the experiences. So we'll start a little bit with that, and then we'll move on to other topics. So Anita, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. I'm always very fortunate to start the first, being a lady. I enjoy the comment of being the extinct species, right? I take it as a compliment. But actually, to be fair, I worked in 2 companies. One in Standard Chartered, 13 years, and the other one is HSBC, almost 20 years. How I came to this industry, I graduated, as a lot of you are going to be graduating soon. Basically, I just follow my heart. So there are questions from one of the students here saying that what are you going to choose, whether it's a big company, you know, a startup. I believe you will know basically what kind of jobs you like. If you don't know, then essentially there will be some elements of an industry that you like. How I choose is I want to be in an industry that is very dynamic, that is international, that deals with people and culture. And these are all the elements that I really enjoy. So financial services definitely is one of them. So I applied for a few banks, and then quite a lot of them actually it gave me the opportunities, and I chose Standard Chartered. I didn't choose the highest pay, which was quite unusual. I actually did get calls from a couple of other banks that gave me an offer and asked me, oh, you've turned down our offer. May I know why? Are you emigrating? Because that was in 1983. So a lot of people were worrying about this, kind of starting to worry about China. And are you going to the government as AO? Because that was the highest pay role. So I said, no, I'm going to the financial sector. So, oh, why would you not pick us? Because we're supposed to be probably the highest pay. That was true. You know, there were 2 other banks that got much higher pay than Standard Chartered. The reason why I chose it is because in the interview process, I felt that this is probably the environment that I want to start my job. And I relate with the people whom I interview, and I like the way that they look at new intakes. And I think it's also a very good organization that I can thrive and learn. I was never fixated about which particular area I have to be in. And on the contrary, I wanted to know banking services inside out before I pick a specialization, which I think in a way is something that is a privilege to the then financial services. But however, I actually think that this is also available now, but people are going more into specialization these days than having a wider perspective. And we can talk a little bit about the challenges later. So I joined Standard Chartered. I had the most wonderful time at Standard Chartered because they trained you. They gave you 2 years, you know, basically across all departments. And then finally, they asked me what I want to do. And so I picked treasury and capital markets, again, because this is the area which is most international, most transferable. You basically bump into all sorts of different things throughout your daytime. And then 13 years later, I decided that I want to have a change. And I want to have a change not because I wasn't happy. I was very happy. But I thought if changes don't come to you, you have to create some changes and get yourself equipped. So I joined HSBC. So I probably leave some time for the other colleagues here.
Great. So Mervyn, you joined investment banking right after university and been there for the last 20-odd years. So tell us a bit about your journey.
Okay. Again, it's an honor to be with Anita and Jackie. I wish my story is a lot more structured than Anita, but hopefully it gives everyone's hope. I study economics and when I was in the university, and actually this recent week we were in a speech, and when the professor introduced us, the professor said, my dream job was to be a banker, but I couldn't become a banker and become a professor. I was actually the other way around. I thought I wanted to study economics and I wanted to be a professor and teach, but when I was in the master's degree, I realized that I wasn't really built for that. So I decided to come out for a job. So when I started looking for a job, I wanted to be someone like Joe. I thought I was very intelligent, very articulate, so I wanted to be in consulting. And what happened was I realized that I was not very good at these case studies. I would, just fail over and over. And then at some point, a friend asked me, do you want to join banking? Which at that point, I have no idea what it is. But when I joined, I think I realized that how exciting the banking industry is, especially I think in Hong Kong, because I think Hong Kong in this location is very blessed. We see many capital inflow, we see many companies, and therefore as a result, you were able to experience a lot. So I started off in capital markets, and in 2001, I started to cover the technology companies in China, just for reasons that no one else actually wanted to cover them. So I started you look at companies, there was a company called Sina.com, which was actually at that time a ringtone company, and people probably don't understand what ringtone. But it just by chance, it just happens that when I follow a client and seeing how the economy and industry grows, that I also gain a lot of experience. As nowadays, a lot of the BATs of the world are my clients, but also just looking at how they grow and learning that, I think has been a good experience. I think I really enjoyed the speech just now. I think fundamentally, I want, when I thought about why am I interested in banking, I think I realized that, we talked a lot about the passion, being passionate about the industry. But I think ultimately, no one can really be passionate about finance. But I think what you can be passionate about is you're passionate about the process. When you are in an opportunity, able to meet different people and learning, having mentors, and looking how the economy grow and meet different companies, and then enjoying that process. I think the passion of enjoying the process is what I think will determine a successful career. And I always tell people, going into finance with the end goal of making money is never a goal to go into industry. It's always a result. I think you have to enjoy the process like anything else. But I think banking is exciting because it's just so fast, dynamic, where Hong Kong is, and you can find that excitement very easily. So I encourage everyone to look at the industry, and also not just investment banking. I think finance is a very broad sector that you should explore. Yeah.
Which leads us to Jackie. So Jackie, Bernie said earlier that insurance is a boring sector, and most of our students here are applying investment banking jobs. So for insurance, we have actually had quite a number of very high growth years in Hong Kong. Right, and you having been in the industry for many years, can you tell us a little bit around your career in insurance? How come you stayed there for so many years, right? And maybe a little bit of your experience and insight into the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Investment banking is always very sexy. I didn't have a finance or accounts or economic degree. I graduated with a physics degree from the Hong Kong U. But I was very sure I'm not going to be a physics. After graduation, interestingly, I start with not really a lot of a serious search for job because actually shortly before the graduation, the government already hired me as one of the EO. So I think, okay, so I just go for it. Government hired me. So and in fact, there was no material break between graduation and then go into that EO job. I still remember I have to work starting from June, so almost no time for taking a break. But the good thing to work in the government is that after that, roughly 1.5 years, I become very sure what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for something that seniority doesn't count for promotion, that it is performance-driven, it is performance-based. So I am very clear so what I'm really looking for. So it is the good part of working for that 1.5 years. And I got into a serious search of what kind of job I really go into after I've been almost 1 year in the government. And I find the financial service industry in Hong Kong is really thriving. It is really the industry. And with my background as a degree in physics, and I find that, well, I should start with something that should be a professional job, and this kind of job is not easy to get into. And I look at many material, not just Hong Kong material. I look at US, North American kind of all kind of material, and then I find that there is a profession called actuary. That is a very rare profession, but that profession is very important for the insurance industry. And Hong Kong or Asia was a lack of actuaries, not easy to go into. And obviously, at that time, there was no university in Hong Kong offering any actuarial course. And so I was bold enough to apply to all kinds of insurance companies. And my current employer, AIA, was also bold enough to take actual trainee. I really have to tell you, go through the interview and they hire me. I'm so happy to take it, although it means a big cut in the pay, It was a big cut in the pay, but I'm so happy. Okay, I really want to go into that as an actual trainee, and I understand very well going into this kind of professional route, you have to get your qualification as fast as possible. So I study while I also have to work very hard. As I said, I want to be performance-driven. So I finished all my fellowship exam within 3 years. So I got my fellowship after 3 years. And interestingly, I got promoted faster than my supervisor when I got into the job. So that confirmed that really performance-based, performance-driven culture is really what I really want to go into. So that started my career in AIA. And I have to say that AIA gave me the opportunity to learn and have the exposure in all kinds of operation, insurance operation. So it's not just an actuarial career. It also gave me the opportunity to understand all kinds of things happening around insurance, including operation, IT, even asset management side of things, and not just in Hong Kong, but also the exposure in Asia. So I had the experience and chance to go around Asia, or even station and work in Taipei, station and work in Shanghai. So that kind of exposure, I would say, is valuable for the development of the people.
Wow, so that was actually quite a very thoughtful way to get into your career, right, after looking at all that. I think the government right now is very meritocracy-driven, and people actually go very quickly in there. So, but maybe back a little bit around, these days in Hong Kong, right, a lot of people look at the financial services, right, and some people actually are saying that, well, you guys, right, you here, right, had it easy because during that time, financial services was growing. Everyone had a good opportunity. People say that we hear the bonuses right, in the early years actually very high, but these days with more regulation, with what's going on after the crisis, and all that, and also with a lot of mainland companies and others coming in, destroying the margin in Hong Kong, that the golden years of the financial services industry is over in Hong Kong. Now, do we agree with that statement, and what would you say around some of the disruptions and also some of the development and challenges in Hong Kong going forward for the industry? So maybe, Anita, do you want to start with that?
Sure, I give it a go. Okay, financial services. I got asked this question a lot, particularly in terms of what banks actually gone through in the last 10 years or 9 years in particular. The way I look at it is financial services is a very broad perspective. It's not only represented by the physical location of banks, or investment banks. One thing that people need to ask, what do you think about financial services? Okay, in traditional banking services, it's about lending, investment. You've got various different services and products that banks or investment bank or insurance actually are offering you these days. Do you need those services? I presume 10 years from now, you still need to think about saving. You still need to think about, okay, how do I try to pay Joe some money? Or if I need to develop some business, I want to borrow. You still have that need. But the thing is, those needs, the products and services, definitely are not going to be stereotyped, being served and delivered in what they used to be delivered all the time. There's going to be very dynamic changes. Number two, think about financial services industry. I struggle to actually think there is any particular area of discipline that financial services wouldn't have opportunities for. First of all, in any one single role, for example, I used to run trading room, okay? We used to have like 7,000 people in global markets and banking. At the Hong Kong dealing rooms, we used to have like 600 people. But we hire people from all walks of disciplines, okay? So you have trading and sales, but you also have roles for lawyers, also have roles for quantitative analysts, engineers. So the financial services industry remains a very broad industry, can take on talents from different walks of disciplines, and also people have different aspirations. Now, about the prospect. How do you measure prospect? Do you measure prospect by money pay, by your prospect of being promoted? I guess promotion doesn't really count that much today in the newer generation in terms of, okay, I become a manager, senior manager, and then assistant director, and then director. You struggle to actually name all these different titles. You want to have a job that is fulfilling and allow you to unfold and unravel your talents. And I think financial services industry remain a very vibrant and full of opportunities, but definitely lots of threats and lots of competition. But these are good. Without threats and without competition, it'll become a boring and without energy industry, which is probably not what you're looking for.
Okay, that's a very positive tone on that. So Mervyn, investment banking, come on, right? You guys, your high days of the big bonuses are gone now. So what lies ahead for investment banking in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think it goes to, one, the industry, and second, I think the location of Hong Kong. I think if you look at ultimately what financial services does, our whole purpose is to take the money that is in excess from people and try to use our ability to channel those money into companies or corporates that can be used to generate more, value add for the society. So I think overall it's actually a pretty grand, important role. And I think if you look at Hong Kong, I think that role is we're very blessed because you have a lot of money internationally that always wants it to invest in China. And secondly, there's a lot of money in China that always want to, invest outside. So Hong Kong actually is a great place for both asset gathering in terms of putting it here and then also distributing out to different places, either in China or outside. And I think that role is important. You help obviously the Chinese economy internationalized. If you want to change people's living, that's important. And also you help people channel the capital inside. So I think because of that, there's always opportunity. I think the challenge is that this industry of how money gets channeled to the right people is getting disrupted by technology, is getting regulated by the government. So I think the challenge for all of us, I think, is really to, through this, how do we continue to add value? So I think in the old days when we look for people, we always said, okay, people that could have good communication skills, right? Good teamwork, good resilient or learning, I think is important. I think recently we have started, and that's something I think the new generation would be much better to come play a part, is innovation and creativity. I think how to provide creativity, we have your speaker later on about how creativity and how we can learn that to put in the industry. So I think overall this is still probably the most important sector for Hong Kong, and I think it will continue to be. So I think the important thing is not to think about how the industry was 10 years ago and try to be that. It's just where is it going and then how we can participate. But I think it's still going to be a very exciting industry. And one of the best we have one of the best, I think, conditions, right, to continue to strive for us. And I think studying here, living here, and growing up here definitely gives you the advantage and the perspective to do that.
So Jackie, your company has been record earnings after record earnings after record earnings. So what lies ahead for insurance in Hong Kong, in the Greater China area? What do you see as the opportunities and the challenges ahead?
Yeah, thank you. And I will focus my talk on insurance, and I will try my best to give you a better understanding of the insurance industry. To me, after I go into the job as an actual profession, when I go deeper into insurance operation, I'm really convinced and convicted that insurance is a necessity for people because it provides a social security benefit for the families, for the individuals. It is a crucial kind of services or product for the people and families. And especially when the Asia, I talk about Asia in general, when the Asia economy has been growing so fast in the past years and will continue to be growing so fast, there will be more and more families going into a certain income segment. Someone talked about the magic number if the GDP per capita exceed US dollar 3,000 per year. That will spark the demand for life insurance and all kinds of insurance because people will think of, how can I protect my family for all kinds of uneventful events. So to us, we really see this is a big opportunity and the potential for the demand is enormous. Now, life insurance, just like all kinds of financial services, of course, is evolving over time. And when the society and the people are becoming more sophisticated, the demand on the service, product, etc., will continue to uplift. So we may envision that cannot be just one product fits all, cannot be just focusing on the product. It has to focus on the needs of the people, and may even go into tailored kind of design of product and services. And technology could become an enabler for that kind of sophistication. So I would say that because of that fundamental need of the people and family for social security benefit, life insurance, there is a great opportunity there. And we should look beyond just Hong Kong or even China or Greater China. I would say that we Hong Kong young people should look beyond not just Hong Kong and China, and also should look for the world, look to the world. The Asian, all those markets need a lot of, I would say, insurance professionals from all kinds of functions in the years to come.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. I thought at this stage, right, we'll actually open up the floor. I actually have one more question, but I thought I'll let you guys have an opportunity as well. So why don't you raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll pick a, or are there a number of questions already? Okay, give these to me, but raise your hand as well. So I'll try to read these and also ask questions. Okay, there's one here, and then you have a second one. Yes, please. So let's, this gentleman here first, right? And then we'll have your questions next. Yeah.
As an affiliate of the University of Chicago, I'm interested in knowing whether you believe in the efficient market hypothesis. Thank you.
Okay, we heard you. We'll think about that one. Next one.
Hi, this is Zoe from HKUSD, and I recently graduated. I'm a recent graduate from USD. I've been working in the bank for quite a while already, and I think that I'm quite fed up with the monotonous, boring part of the job I have. So is there any way for me to move out, say, move to other departments, or what do you suggest? What skills should I pick up if I want to move out, say, even of the industry, say, going into consulting? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll take these two first, right? So, any views on the efficient hypothesis, right? And the second question is, if you are, if we feel like we're in a department that feels a bit more boring, how do I move out to more exciting parts, right? So, anyone here wants to?
Sure, I'll take the first one. So I actually, my book that I was going to share was a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. So I do think there's a lot of talks about how studying human psychology, how people react, or we make mistakes from biases of our human mind, and really how that has affected the efficiency discussion. I think if you look at, even this year's Nobel Prize, it was gone to that. So I do think that is important, and I recommend that book because I do think understanding how we think and how other things, and then able to adapt and improve on that is really critical to just anything, especially in banking when the world is moving very fast. So I think having a really good sense of what your strength and weakness, learning, I think we talk a lot learning, continuous learning, and then adapting, I think is important. And this also answers, I think, the second question, right? I think when you think about it's boring, you need to think about why is it boring, right? Why is it you feeling boring? Is it because your characters doesn't fit it, or you're not approaching it the right way? And then adjusting that is important, because I think searching for a job that you think is not boring, if you have the same mentality, I think you will find that every job will have their boring situation. So able to adapt that is critical, especially for the young generation.
There's a question here, actually, quite thoughtful for Anita. It says Basel and KYC has affected commercial banking a lot. A lot of commercial banking RMs are spending a lot of the time dealing with compliance and KYC client profiles. Are commercial banking MT programs and RM careers still interesting careers to pursue? This is from Tang Lan Chu from, I think, Lingnan University.
Who wrote this? Can I see the face? Don't worry, you won't be penalized. Good, thank you. I always like, that's a good question. Okay. Okay, first of all, when you think about this MT program or being an RM, okay, would that be still part and parcel of this kind of program or part and parcel of the role? I mean, take a step back. This particular KYC and all those various kind of extended regulatory requirements, you would have regulatory requirements, and basically you're running a business, you want to do the business in the right way. You're facing a world that is much more complex and globally connected. So I think since the financial crisis and the various happenings, the financial industry, as well as the regulatory industries, I got to be very careful, okay? Both locally and globally, are still work in progress to find out a better way to do what we're doing now more effectively. It is not an easy task, because I still remember, like probably 10, 15 years ago, when we look at risk management. This is all about risk management, right? risk management should be on a risk-based approach, a principle-based approach, i.e., you evaluate the risk instead of you breaking down how to evaluate the risk by 100 different steps, and you just tick the boxes and trying to make sure that you do all those kind of 100 things. And you're dealing with very intelligent, world of the negatives, of the dark side. They would always be able to find out ways to actually bypass your 100 ways. So there's always those difficulties about the rule-based, as well as versus the risk-based approach. But you got to have a transitions. Now these transitions prove to be much more challenging because while we are transiting, the world is getting more complex. Now the way to look at it, is it going to be still taking up a majority part of an RM's job or MT training? I think it remained a critical part of an RM job and also an MT's training program because it's a very important element in the financial services industry. The integrity of the industry built on the integrity of the practitioners. We have integrity of practitioners, but we have other, participants who might be a mix. So I think the way to deal with it is not to look at it as a boredom. You need to understand why you're doing it, and then don't underestimate your suggestions, because solutions and improvements can only be made as a result of various participation of opinions. Don't give up. And there are certain people that I bump into and say, oh, I'm just fed up with all these kind of KYC and whatever, But if everybody give up, we would not have a better industry. And these industries remain the essential part of our daily life, whether you like it or not, because we need to have financial services, as I said, whether it's performed by banks or whatever, you still need to do it. And then we need talents. I am very confident that there will be better ways. And actually, when you think about it, if you really put into minds to understand the risk assessment process, you actually understand a lot about the banking industry. So I agree with Mervyn and saying that you need to understand about the things instead of just looking from the surface. Yeah.
Great. There's a question here from Tang Wei Ki from CUHK. And it says that how does Credit Suisse and our AIA prepare yourself in the face of challenges from fintech companies? So maybe Jackie, your insurance industry, this very critical product, fintech, how does that work? Zhongans went public, stock price went up, right? AI is not doing so bad. So how are you guys working with fintech companies?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very good question. And in fact, at AIA, we keep continuing asking ourselves this kind of question. And you know what? Besides people disrupt you, you should try to disrupt yourself. So at AIA, we do have a digital strategy going forward. And we have a different lens in looking at this fintech kind of thing. So on one hand, we understand what is our strength, and we have to continue to strengthen our strength area using all kinds of digital technology. But at the same time, you may later on find that AIA will try some sort of fintech kind of thing in our own application. So as I said, before someone disrupt you, we will disrupt ourselves. We will experiment, experience this kind of thing, but in a controlled environment, in a phasing kind of approach. But I am not going to talk about too much details. I just talk about that kind of principle and the philosophy behind.
Great, thank you. Mervyn, quickly, fintech, Credit Suisse.
Yeah, I think going back, fintech is all about AI, how data can improve. I think again, back to that point about channeling money from one area to another, I think it depends on the segment you're talking. You're talking to corporates, right? You're talking to high net worth. There's still a lot of human trust needed on it versus, there are services that actually the trust part is less, and I think technology can take over trading, lending money, etc. So I do think it depends on the segment, and I think banks obviously has been spending a lot of time on regulation, but I think going forward they need to focus on the fintech stuff. If you look at ultimately, I think anything that requires service, that requires human touch and trust, I think the technology side is less versus human, but versus if you are looking about lending money to people, that trust is not needed for whoever is lending. You're providing a service. Obviously, technology has a much bigger edge. So I think it depends on things, but clearly the segments is different. But I think, yeah, this is really important for banks, and I think everyone's talking about it going forward.
Yeah, there are a series of questions here around mainland China. So I'll summarize a little bit, but I think that you guys need to respond to these, right? So I think for Jackie, right now a lot of income of the insurance sector comes from actually mainland Chinese coming to Hong Kong to buy insurance policies and all that, right? How do you sustain the growth to insurance companies as the Chinese economy will inevitably slow down and that particular income stream may actually go away? So that's one around mainland China and the opportunity to Hong Kong, and is that sustainable? For Mervyn, the question on the mainland is slightly different. It's like a lot of mainland investment banks are entering Hong Kong, right? And that's actually is competing with the multinationals, right? So for companies like Credit Suisse, how do you compete with the mainland investment companies, investment banking banks, and what do you think long-term will happen here? So maybe these two kind of mainland company questions. Jackie, you want to go first, and maybe Mervyn quickly?
I will go.
I'm sure
quickly. What we see is that the mainland income has been growing very fast. The GDP growth, therefore creating, I would say, millions or billions of middle income to affluent kind of families or individuals. And the demand for quality insurance products and services will ever increasing. So we continue to see great demand from the mainland Chinese visitors coming to Hong Kong for quality products and services. But at the same time, Hong Kong should not, as I said, should not just look at China or Greater China. Hong Kong is an international financial hub, and Hong Kong should continue to strengthen ourselves to attract all those kind of financial planning services, including insurance, at least across Asia. And we see that as the Asian economy continue to improve, there are a lot more and more affluent to high net worth Asian people. They also will choose to come to Hong Kong, maybe or Singapore. So there is obvious competition between Hong Kong and Singapore in terms of offering the quality financial service and products. So we should continue to strengthen ourselves to attract not just mainland affluent people, but also all those around Asia.
Mervyn, quickly around
mainland. Okay, so I think when you choose what you do, I think this is important too. I always think that the international banks are complementary to the Chinese banks. Just back to the point, Chinese banks want to provide their service from onshore going international, and we are international going to China. So I think the service complement. We have a lot more international network. They have domestic network going out. So just advisory-wise, I think we're complementary. I think on industries that are direct competition, that are commoditized, we're going back to the same question, right? AI, fintech. Those areas that is getting commoditized clearly will be coming a lot of pressure. So for you guys to be interested in those, then I think your goal is really to how do you differentiate yourself if you're going to a commoditized service, or how do you improve that service from a technology standpoint, then rather than just saying I want to be a stockbroker because I like stock, but clearly that is a very competitive and also commoditized. It's not saying that it's not good, but it's just you need to think of a way to differentiate yourself. So I think there's two ways. I think it's more complementary to the Chinese banks, but then the commoditized it's going to drive down pricing, and I think technology, etc., will come in to change that.
Great. We're running out of time here. There's a bunch of questions here around how to get into McKinsey, but I'm not going to answer that question today. My last question for all three panelists, and this will be a very quick one-word answer, is if your confidence level around your industry in the next 20 years in Hong Kong, right? 1, being I'm very pessimistic, do not get into this industry because, it's going nowhere. 10, being never been better, right? Get right in because this is the future. From 1 to 10, what's your temperature check around the industry in the next 10 years? Anita?
8.
8. Mervyn? 7. Jackie?
I'm very optimistic. I will give it 10.
Okay, all right. So with that, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so 我知道，我哋一陣間先，我哋唔夠時間。Okay, let's move on. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Fong, Mr. Chow, Mr. Chen, and Mr. Ngai. Please give them a big round of applause. And may I now pass the time to Angela.